Hello, I'm Luke Hatfield. Alongside me at Villa Park, Joe Edwards, Wolves correspondent, Express and Star. Villa 2, Wolves 1. And I tell you what, could have seen that coming when I saw the teams.
Yeah, it's a weird night because obviously 5,000, well over 5,000 Wolves fans have packed out the North Stand here at Villa Park tonight. They've obviously paid money, paid decent money to come here, and
with the trains,
yeah, that's been a nightmare. But they want to see the team, beat Villa. It's always a big game, no matter the competition. But Wolves have put out a team of kids, and the kids have done themselves. They can come out with their heads held high, and the fans applauded them off. But it was a literal case of men against boys, and Villa come away with a win. It weren't a classic at all. No. It weren't one to set the pulses racing. On the bright side, Wolves have got a manager here that is not afraid to play youngsters, give youngsters a chance. And for these lads, for your Terry Taylors and your Chem Campbells and your Dion Sandersons, this is the stuff of dreams. Making your first team debuts at a packed out Villa Park. Yeah. That's you're making lads' dreams come true. So that's not to be overlooked. But at the same time, you've come here in the last 16 of the Carabao Cup. It's a genuine chance of silverware for Wolves, and you do look at it and you perhaps think that they've maybe leaned towards the youth a little bit too much. I can understand why Nuno's done it. They've played a lot of games already. Europa League is a priority, Premier League's a priority. This is bottom of the list for Wolves, as the team kind of show. But just the lack of an impact player on the bench for me was just a bit of a surprise. A Jota or a Traore just to come on for the last half hour and just try and get something from the game, because we've hit 2-1. Had that one of those players been available to come on, perhaps Wolves could have got it to penalties and got through tonight. So yeah, that in that sense it's a little bit disappointing.
Yeah, and as you said, I can kind of understand where Nuno's coming from here. He's just lost Willy Bolly to injury. You don't want to lose any more players because Wolves have struggled with injuries compared to previous seasons.
Yeah, definitely.
This time around. But I tell you what, a derby game is a big game to have. You look at the bench, barring Rui Patricio, a handful of first team domestic appearances between them. They're all kids. Rui Patricio was never going to get on, barring some injury problem with John Ruddy. It just seemed to me like Wolves kind of came here and they were like, we're showing you our hands here. We do not care about this competition.
Yeah, it can come across that way. I've had a look on social media, and the opinion, there's a lot backing Nuno, obviously, and saying fair play for giving these lads a chance, and there's a fair few saying, we've basically said to Villa, we're not really that bothered about this competition.
Yeah.
And I can understand both sides. I really can. As I say, I kind of just lean towards the fact that you've not got an experienced player on the bench, say a Jota or a Traore, or even a Martini or a Doherty, just a kind of a bit more of an experienced head to help see the young lads through. I think Sanderson come in for his debut, and I thought he was pretty solid.
You kept Trezeguet quiet.
Kept Trezeguet quiet. Didn't really offer that much going forward, but it was it didn't stand out, but weren't exposed either. And Perry, fantastic resilience for the goal to dispossess Douglas Luiz and then get the shot off which Catrani gets a toe on to equalise. Max Kilman I thought was very good again at the back. I know Wolves have conceded twice tonight, but he defends first and plays second. He can play, but he just does the basics well. Max does. So there are positives, but it's not one that Wolves fans will remember fondly, and they'll be keen to just kind of focus on Arsenal now, back on the league, and hopefully putting in a good performance there.
Yeah, that's right. And talking about the game in terms of performance, I thought Wolves' second half were much improved. First half, they offered next to nothing. I mean, there was a lot of hopeful would be almost a bit of an overstatement for me. Balls forward, where you they handed possession back to Villa at times, and the possession stats showed that first half. But second half, I thought they improved, and credit to them for doing that.
Yeah. I mean, first half it was just wave after wave of Villa attack, wasn't it? And it was a case of Wolves holding on. I mean, that goal, albeit Wolves had defended, pretty well before it. It just seemed a case of when, not if, it would come. After the break, Villa were comfortable, but then they got a bit lax, didn't they? Wolves, fair play to them, punished them for that, and then showed a bit of naivety, youthful naivety, you could say, in that they conceded, straight after they scored, and but you thought that was, the door being slammed shut on Wolves then, but they had another chance. Catrone goes clean through and puts it straight at the keeper, and it was a mixed night for him. Obviously gets his goal, but then misses a gilt-edged opportunity, so he's a work in progress. You kind of got the sense that Wolves, this isn't a big priority for them, this competition, and that kind of shone through tonight. But what also shone through is that Nuno is going to give youngsters chances to impress as and when he can. Somebody said to me on Twitter, when's the next we see these kids? Well, if Wolves seal their passage to the knockout stages, you're looking at that Besiktas game at home in December, which could potentially be a bit of a dead rubber. So perhaps we see a few more of them then. If you're doing well for the 23s, you're going to get a chance, and that's the big positive to take out of tonight. These youngsters have came in. Wolves have lost yesterday at the Cup, which is disappointing, and especially at the hands of Villa, that's disappointing too. But the young lads have been given a chance, and by and large, they've done themselves no harm at all. I thought Sanderson was solid. Campbell, he's only 16, didn't see much of the ball, but when he had a bit of a swagger about him. Kilman, as I say, thought was very solid again. Perry, very tenacious in the middle of the park. He didn't have the best of starts, but he didn't let it affect him, and obviously played his part in the goals. So Wolves, they're spending money, and they've brought in a lot of Portuguese and players from across the continent, across the world. But there's still local lads at the core of it as well, and that's always nice to see. So if you're looking for positives, that's the definite one for me.
Yeah, there you have it. So Wolves bow out of the Carabao Cup at Villa Park. For all the latest on them, make sure you stay with expressandStar.com.